Good evening. Welcome to the Ask Dr. Renee show. I am your host, Dr. Renee. And for those that have never seen the show before, this show is here to motivate and inspire you to live the life you deserve. Because let's face it, you only have one life to live, and you should live it while you're living so that you have no regrets. All of my guests, I believe, are living the life they deserve, and they motivate and inspire me to do the same with my life. So I'm hoping that bringing them to you will help and encourage you to do the same with your life. So our guest tonight is Patrice Banks, and Patrice has an amazing story that we're going to let her share. But thank you and welcome to the show, Patrice.
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you so much. So you guys, Patrice has been on and in everything. You've heard her story. You just probably didn't know it was her. So we're going to let her tell all about that too. But so let's get started. Patrice, where did you grow up?
Phoenixville, Pennsylvania, which is a suburb of Philly. It's about 30 miles outside of Philly.
Okay. So growing up there is what did you want to do when you grew up? Like, did you have any idea, or you just wanted to just get the heck out of Dodge? Like, what did you want to do?
I was a kid that was a dreamer. I wanted to do everything that I thought was cool, and I saw it on TV. I was raised by a single mom, and I didn't have like a father figure growing up. But I also would see things on TV, whether it was a girl doing it or a guy doing it, and I thought, I want to do that. I didn't see limitations for me, so I wanted to do things like play soccer, even though no one in my family really did it. I just saw it on TV and thought it looked cool. Or I wanted to go to the University of Hawaii. No one in my family had gone to college at the time, but rainbows were my favorite color as a kid, and their logo is a rainbow. So I wanted to go to college, University of Hawaii. That's what I was gonna do. I read the Babysitters Club books when I was a kid, so I wanted to have a Babysitters Club. I just always had these dreams of things that I wanted to do, and I would start thinking about them and how I was going to make it happen. So that was really important in setting up my life, and going after what I wanted. I wasn't afraid to try things that I dreamed of myself doing, like soccer. I went and tried out soccer. I wasn't that great at it, but I tried it and to see if I would like it. And so I did that with a lot of things throughout my life, in high school, in college, and then eventually led me to Girls Auto Clinic and trying out being a mechanic, right? I didn't grow up in the industry or anything. I'm actually an engineer. I went to college, Lehigh, not University of Hawaii, but if I wasn't dreaming about college, maybe I would have never even ended up at Lehigh.
Exactly. So when you went in, how did you end up an engineering major?
Yeah, it's a typical story, and as a woman and an engineer, I hate to say it, I was good at math and science. We don't like to talk about that when we talk about engineering, because it scares girls away from it, because they think, oh, I'm not good at math. And it's really about problem solving and being a creative problem solving thinker. And that's kind of how I was as a kid. I loved solving problems and fixing things and making things work and making them perfect and tinkering with stuff. So I just had a natural inclination to physics. I loved physics, and I enjoyed solving math problems. So someone told me I should be an engineer. I think it was like a counselor, and in high school. And so I told my mom, I think I want to go to school to be an engineer. And she had a friend, he was an African-American male at the time, who was an engineer. And he had me shadow him for a day. I was maybe 16. I shadowed him for the day. And at the end of the day, I thought, I could do this. I could be an engineer. It wasn't that hard. He was more in the sales. He was an industrial engineer, and he would drive around to different mid-sized companies that made industrial equipment for any type of processing. And he would sell them parts for their equipment, and if it broke down or if they needed things repaired or replaced on their equipment. So that was cool. And I thought, oh yeah, I can do that. Okay, I'll be an engineer. And that's what I did. And I ended up going to Lehigh, which is a really great engineering school. Another counselor at the high school had told me, you should go to Lehigh. It's a great school. It was far enough away to leave home, but close enough where I could come home every once in a while to do laundry if I needed to. It was about an hour and a half away. So, because my mom didn't go to college. She didn't really know these things. I was really lucky to have teachers and counselors on my side to help me with the process of even applying for college and interviews and getting admissions waivers for the fee. They were $50 back then. That was 1998.
Right.
You know, they were expensive. So I didn't have a lot of money. You know, so I was always a go-getter. Actually, I was the first person. We didn't have a car growing up, and I was the first person to buy a car. I was 16. My mom didn't know how to drive. We didn't have a car. We walked everywhere, took the bus, and I wanted to buy a car. So my grandfather taught me how to drive, and I was working 3 jobs, and I bought a car and had my own insurance at 16 years old. Now, I didn't know how to take care of it. I was an auto airhead. I always have been, but it was mine, right? It was cool that I had something that belonged to me at like 16. But yeah, so then I went on to college to be an engineer and at Lehigh, and I rode crew there. I did another sport that I tried. Who would have thought, you know, growing up that I would row crew, and we won Dadville, the Dadville races.
Did you even know what crew was before you got to college?
No, I didn't. I had no idea, and I saw it, and I said, "Oh, that looks pretty cool." And I thought I'd sign up for it because I thought, maybe why don't I sign up for something, right? I knew I wanted to meet people and do an extracurricular activity. I just didn't know what it was. So initially I thought I'll try crew, but then I found out they had practice at 5 a.m. in the morning.
Exactly. I'm like,
I ain't doing that, right?
My wall mates in college were on crew, and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, I was like, nah, that ain't happening. So I'm Xing that one off the list. And about 2 years later, I was in the gym. I used to row on those erg machines, those rowing machines in the gym for exercise because I heard it was a full body workout, and I didn't know what I was doing. I was just on them. And I would row for like 30 minutes. And one day, one of the coaches came up to me and she said, would you like to join the crew team? Like, have you ever rowed before? You know, would you like to join? And I said, yeah, I've never rowed before, but no, you guys have 5 a.m. practice. She goes, oh, when it's your first year, when you're a novice, like you practice at 4 p.m. So I said, okay, cool. I guess I'll try it out. That's how she hooked me in because it was only a couple months later we were practicing on the water at 5 a.m. She was an excellent coach. And the reason she did that is we had 2 boats and she wanted to have an hour and a half training specifically with each boat, and so we didn't have to split our time with her for an hour and a half. So one boat went in the morning and one boat went in the afternoon. You know, that's why we were great though. We won the Dadville champions that year. We were undefeated. We were amazing. But I remember this is maybe an inspirational story for crew because it's the hardest thing I've ever done. It very physically intense. I've thrown up in training and stuff, cried. And the first day I went to practice, I showed up the next day, and she said, we had these long stairs at Lehigh. It's built on a mountain that we had to run up. And it helps us with our leg strength and explosive strength is running stairs. So she said, the rest of the girl team is going to run 5 times. That took about 45 minutes just to tell you how high the stairs were. To go up and down 5 times took 45 minutes. So I said, okay. She said, only go twice and then come back and I'll show you how to row on the erg properly. I said, all right. So I get there and I'm running up the steps with the rest of the girls and I'm beating some of them. Right. And I'm thinking, I guess I might be pretty good. You know, I'm running up the steps and I get there to the top and I did 2. And I said, you know what, I'm going to do 1 more just because I was just motivated to push myself and see what I could do. And I went up and I did 1 more. And, the girls had already been training for a while. I came in like halfway through the season. So, you know, they were used to that kind of thing. But I was really proud of myself to be able to do 3 and keep up with them. And that's when I said to myself, I'm going to do this. Like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be good at this. And I was. Our team was really good. And we were undefeated that year. And we won gold medals and stuff. And it was a great experience. So, and if I didn't, you know, just try something. I was always trying different things to figure out what worked for me. And trust me, a lot of things did not work. I played softball, I played basketball, I played soccer, and I wasn't really good at any of them. But I knew I was a natural athlete, and I enjoyed playing sports. So it just took a while for me to find, you know, what worked for me and what I excelled in. You know, so it's really.
But that's good that you tried because that's what a lot of people don't do is they don't try. And if you never try, then you've never failed. You have no idea.
Right. When I was 12 years old, I signed up for this co-ed basketball team. My mom, she never came to any practices or like games. I had to walk home from practice. I was the only girl and I sucked so bad, but I went to every practice. Like I was committed in every game. Like I was committed to finish and like be a part of the team, even though they never really played me because I wasn't good. But I don't know, I just did it. And I didn't go back next year because I was like, I'm not good. I'll just try something else, That's kind of how I always thought about stuff. Oh well, didn't work out. So you can't be afraid of failure. You can't let it stop you from trying other things. I see that happen a lot with younger entrepreneurs.
Yes, yes. And then, so you manage the engineering schedule of classes and crew?
Yeah, yeah, it was tough.
That is a lot.
I did not, I did not wear a lot of clothes. I had the same clothes every day, which I was always in my crew clothes, always, because we had sometimes practice twice a day too. And it was basically school and crew, and crew was all year round too. We didn't have an off season, so we rode in the spring and the fall and the winter. So it was really intense. I don't think I could have did it for 4 years. I only did it for 2. It was my two last years, my junior senior year, because it's tough. It's really tough, especially as an engineer. But people make it happen, I didn't have the best grades. I graduated with a 3.2, which is really good at a school like Lehigh, but I wasn't one of those kids who was concerned with having like straight A's. I knew that I had other things like rowing crew, and so I was okay with going to bed and getting a B versus staying up late and being tired and getting an A or something, I was okay with that sometimes.
So which engineering did you get a degree in?
Materials engineering, which
Okay.
is working with metals mainly. I work with metals, but it's also polymers and ceramics, and you study their behaviors and how to change their properties to make them stronger, to make them more durable, or to make them more flexible, and what applications we can use them in society and modern technology. So everything engineered kind of starts with what material do we make it out of. And so it kind of fits into all the engineerings in a way, which is cool. Not many people know about it because it's one of the smallest types of engineering, but it's getting more popular for sure. Mainly research and finding new materials like composites. How it can relate to cars is like trying to make cars more lightweight, so they're trying to make less metal, things made out of less metal, but still safe. And if you get into a crash, and still can be fixed if you have a fender bender, stuff like that. So they're looking for new materials that are lightweight that they can create and make cars out of. Mm-hmm. So stuff like that I did. I worked for DuPont for 12 years doing materials engineering. I got a job with them right out of college. I actually interned with them. So they were the only
That's what I was going to
company
say.
I
Did
worked
you
for.
do any, right, did you do it? I was going to say, did you do any
Mhm.
internships or co-ops? Okay.
Yeah. So the funny story about this is a good story about follow-up. And I was in college. I was a sophomore, and I applied for this. I wasn't doing anything for spring break because I wasn't a party kid. And I had saw on a flyer about going to the career services and finding an externship during spring break. So I said, hey, I'm not going anywhere. I might as well try to find a job. So I was in materials engineering, and I'm an African-American woman, a materials engineer at Lehigh. And I go there, and I live in PA. They're like, where do you want to go for an externship? They're going to find engineer I could kind of shadow for the day. And I said, I guess the tri-state area, like New Jersey, Delaware, Philadelphia. And they said, well, do you have any company in mind? And I thought, I just saw a commercial that morning of DuPont, like the Stainmaster carpet. And I said, I guess DuPont. They found me an African-American woman who was a materials engineer that went to Lehigh and worked for DuPont. I kid you not. I was like, oh my gosh. Her name was Ricole Edwards. And I hung out with her for the day, and she told me, sign up for this internship. I was a sophomore at the time, and I signed up, and I interviewed with this guy, and I didn't know what I was doing. It was the first time I had really interviewed for something serious. And I didn't hear back from him, and I was like, I need a job. The summer's coming. So I took a job. I had called, and I hadn't heard back from him. So I took a job with another smaller company that was working in construction management and testing concrete, breaking concrete all day. That's what I did. And he eventually called me back, and he said, oh, we're not going to do the internship this year. The funds didn't come through, but we're going to try again next year. Keep me updated about your job. I told him I found a job. He said, keep me updated about your job. Call me when you get back after the summer and tell me about it. And I said, okay, cool. And so when I got back from the summer, I followed up, I called him and told him about it. You know, we talked a little bit, and he said, that's cool. And then he said, when we do the internship again, I'll let you know. In March, it was going to be in March. And so that March came, he emailed me and he said, you don't need to interview again since you already did. And, you know, we'll let you know. And I was picked. And he told me the reason they picked me was because I followed back. You know, I followed up with him and I called him, and it shows as working as an engineer, and a lot of times you're a consultant as an engineer, that it's important that you have those skills where you're able to talk with people and follow up with them and stay connected. And he's like, you beat out kids from MIT and Harvard for this job, because you know, I didn't have, like I said, I wasn't straight A student. I wasn't the smartest student, you know, but I always had someone who was just went after what I wanted, and I followed through with things always. And that helped me. And so I ended up going to Texas for my internship with them. I drove in my car with my friend. I was 20 years old, and we drove from Philly to Texas in our car one summer and just went down to Texas. I loved it down there. Texas is a great state. And I worked as an engineer. I was climbing up columns that were 120 feet in the air, and in hot Texas. It was kind of crazy, but it was cool. It was a cool job, being able to see, being in a chemical processing plant and see all this huge equipment that contains all these chemicals that make products like Teflon, you know, and Stainmaster carpet, or Kevlar, and bulletproof vest was another thing that DuPont made. So it was kind of cool to actually see the sites where we made these products. Yeah, and so I ended up, they were the only people that I worked for my entire career. 12 years I was with them. I say DuPont was my first investor because I saved up a ton of money when I was working for them. And it wasn't because I was planning on doing my own business, but I just knew I had good advisors that said, you know, save as much money as you can. And it's what helped me when I finally left my job to do Girls Auto Clinic full time to support myself in times when I wasn't making a lot of money, you know. So save up. I know that sounds so nerdy, but it's important, especially if you want to be an entrepreneur. Save up as much cash as you can before you quit your job, when you quit your job, you know. And they talk about this a lot on Shark Tank. Don't quit your job until, you're bringing in enough money to support yourself. And I didn't. I went back to school. Huh?
Lisa Nichols called the job, you're an investor. That's what she said.
Yeah.
Your job is your investor. That's what she said.
That's what, listen, DuPont, and you know what was funny? I was always this type of person at DuPont. I was always interested in taking training courses that were about my own personal development. And I used to say that too. There's so many things I took away from my trainings at DuPont, and some of the things that you can learn from larger corporations, about people, especially with the softer skills, with working with people and communication and giving and receiving feedback. That helped me so much now as an entrepreneur, or just other trainings that teach me how to really set up this company. There's a lot of DuPont in Girls Auto Clinic. You can see it. And I realized that they really helped me create this company. And I think part of the reason it's as successful as it has been was just the experience I've had working at DuPont. And I tell people all the time, I never felt smart as an engineer at DuPont, and I didn't. I was the only girl for a long time. I was the only African-American for a long time in my group. And I was surrounded by a bunch of older white men and they were smart. They had PhDs from MIT, and working around all these guys that are running $1 million projects, you know, multi-million-dollar projects. But I still remained true to myself. I was still Patrice. I would say no. If I didn't want to do something, I said, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to like it. Anytime I saw a training I wanted to take, I used to fight for it. Hey, I want to take this. Here's why. So I definitely had the courage to, again, try things in my career at DuPont. And once I left to start Girls Auto Clinic, I realized how smart I really was. And a lot of times these guys don't really know what they're talking about. It's all about confidence. I've learned so much about having confidence in yourself when you're talking. And that's what's really going to captivate people and get them to believe in you and listen to you. Because half of the time I was in these meetings, these guys didn't know what they were talking about, but they just say it with such confidence, right? That you just know it. They just know that they know what they're talking about. They just know it. And you have to be like that. You know, you just have to know that you know what you're talking about, even if you don't. So that's very important for women, very important. And I didn't realize till I left, like, yeah, I was pretty smart as an engineer. I had some really great ideas. I had a lot of great skills, and they've all helped me so far with Girls Auto Clinic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wait,
So,
back up a little bit and
okay.
put your computer down because we're cutting off your head.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay,
Cool.
that works. Yeah.
Better. Can you see the Chicanic shirt?
Yes, now we can see it really well.
Okay.
I knew that's what it was, but now we can see it.
Okay.
So tell people, what was it like? What happened? Like in your head, how did you come up with this idea? And then how did you make that transition?
So, yeah, so right now, you know, I'm no longer an engineer. I left my job. I'm now an entrepreneur and an auto mechanic or auto technician that caters to women. And I came up with this idea. It's been 5 years in the making, actually, the summer of 2011. I knew that I wanted to empower women. I always had a passion for that. I think it was growing up with a single mom and seeing her struggle a lot, that I wanted to help other women be better, empower them. I did it a lot at DuPont with engineering and getting young girls into STEM fields. And so I knew that I wanted to have something. I wanted to have, I said I'm always trying things. When I was at DuPont, even though I was working as an engineer, I still was just trying a bunch of stuff because I wanted a hobby and I was helping other people with their businesses. I was selling Mary Kay. I was working out a lot and like doing training stuff. And I was still, again, just trying things, figuring out what's for me. I just knew working a 9 to 5 was not my legacy. I knew waking up and just looking forward to Friday, hitting that snooze every time. I have to, it just, I'm like, this can't be life. I used to think about that. Like, this can't be my life every day for the rest of my life, where I'm looking forward to Friday and my vacations and hitting the snooze every time I have to wake up. And so I knew that I was going to have to find something for me. I just didn't know what it was. I had moved to Philly in 2010, and I was kind of meeting all these incredible women in the city who were very independent. They owned their careers, they owned their lives and their money, and they had their own houses, their own cars. They were entrepreneurs, actresses, on-air personalities for radio and TV. And I was inspired. I'm like, look at these women doing amazing things. I need to do something amazing, but I didn't know what it was. So I thought, I'm going to write a blog for women that's going to teach them things that men know how to do or that you have to pay a man to do. I'd kind of come up with this idea a couple years ago, in like 2008. And I thought, it was just an idea. I didn't do anything with it. But then it came back to me and I said, I want to start a blog that's going to teach women things that men know or to pay a man to do, because I have all these very independent female friends, again, owning their careers and their lives, but there's still areas in our lives we're very uncomfortable with. We feel very vulnerable. And so how can I empower them in those areas? So I'm thinking things like house. I had a toilet in my house. I owned a house and the toilet bowl cracked, and I replaced it by myself with a 2-minute video from Home Depot. When I went to Home Depot to buy the toilet, they were going to charge $100 to come out and replace it. And I'm thinking, I can just watch a 2-minute video and do it. And it wasn't hard. So, that was one of my first posts, was talking about how to change a toilet. But so I created this blog, I did the website myself and everything. And I wanted to have, this came from Tyra Banks. And it's funny because I was on Tyra Banks' show. So I got to tell her this story. I saw her when she had her first talk show. Her first one back in the 90s, she said when she had the idea, she wanted 100 topics, like 100 ideas for the show, for show topics before she started, because she wanted to show longevity and that she was serious about being here. And so I thought, I want to have 100 ideas. I need to have 100 topics for blogs before I start, to show like I'm serious about this. I really want to write these ideas down and help women. So everywhere I went, I started surveying women. What do you wish you knew that you have to pay a man to do, or that typically a man does? And overwhelmingly, I got car maintenance. I feel taken advantage of by mechanics. I don't know about my car. And I was thinking, yeah, me too. Like, that is such a nightmare anytime I have to take my car in for repair. I always dread going in for oil changes because I think they're going to upsell me. It's just uncomfortable to chore. I'm like, ugh, I got to get my oil changed. Like, ugh. I wish I had, could pay someone to do that for me. I just hated that whole experience, the automotive buying and repair experience. And I saw this pattern where I'm like, there is a ton of women who need these services. So I started looking for a female mechanic. I thought, I'm going to find a female mechanic. She's going to help me write some blogs. So I was searching I asked all my Facebook friends, I Googled female mechanic, and it was just, nobody could find a mechanic. I found 4 female mechanics owned shops in the country. And I had to go on page like 3 of Google before I could find someone, like a woman mechanic. There was no resources out there that was really educating women or helping them with their problems. And I thought, I can't believe there's nothing out here. So I'm going to create a company that's going to put resources, offer resources to women, offer services to women when it comes to their automotive choices. And I was talking to my cousin one night, and she said, she was young. She's a little petite woman. Her name is Peach. And she said, when I was a little girl, my mom's car used to always break down, and we couldn't afford to go and get it fixed. We couldn't go to school. She couldn't get to work. So I always wanted to be a mechanic. So I knew how to fix her car. And when she got old enough to go to school, she said they discouraged me to going, like some counselors did, and people, because they said, oh, you're too pretty, you're too cute, you're not going to make money, you're going to get all dirty. And I was like, no, that's not right. My whole passion side came out. I don't like when people tell a woman she can't do something because she's too pretty or she's too cute or you're going to get too dirty. And she said, I always wanted to have a shop that had a nail salon there for women. And I was like, oh, I love that idea. Let's do it. Let's go back to school, learn how to be mechanics, and we'll open a shop for women that has a nail salon. And she goes, okay. So we started looking into schools to go to, and I think that scared her, the cost, just the time involved, and she kind of backed out, and she said, I don't think this is the right time for me to do this. And I said, well, I want to do it. And she said, okay. And I went for it. I enrolled in school. I started taking classes in 2012. I loved it. I had no idea what to expect. I was the only girl in class, but I was already an engineer, so it wasn't hard learning about how a car is made and the theories behind how they work. I was always in class, like raising my hand. I couldn't wait to read the book. I couldn't wait to come to class and learn. But out in the shop, when we were using tools, I had never touched a tool before. I was scared. I was not confident when I was in the shop, and I found myself really falling back and asking guys for help. And they'd come over and kind of like nudge me out of the way and start doing it for me. And I realized these guys don't think I really want to be here because I'm just kind of stepping back. And that's when you hear these rumors like girls just want to be in automotive because it's guys around, or they want to try something and they think it's going to be cute. So I had to find myself, like stop myself and say, no, Patrice, like you need to have more confidence and step up, try things more. Don't be afraid to break something. Don't be afraid to mess up or fail. If you're asking for help, let them know that you want to do it. You're just asking for guidance. And I really had to, like Sheryl Sandberg says, like lean in to it. So, and be uncomfortable being out there trying tools for the first time and being totally outside of my element. But I loved it. And the guys, they knew I was serious about what I wanted to do. And so I had a pretty good experience at school. I know a lot of women who send me emails about their bad experiences being women in the schools, and again, working in the automotive industry. So it started becoming, so when I got out of school, I thought, I want to educate women. I'm going to empower women. What can I do so women feel better about their cars? They don't feel taken advantage of. They can learn. Now that I'm also like an engineer, and I'm also an automotive technician, they call us now, not mechanics, technicians. I know everything women need to know. And the advantage is I used to be an auto airhead, so I can tell women, this is where your pain points are. I know them because they were for me, and this is how you solve them. Here's how you feel better. Here's what you need to know. And I make it fun and relatable, and I teach women. I write blogs, and I started doing car care workshops, and I created workshops in my blogs really around women-focused education. So we learn things about their car, like think of your engine like a vagina. Or does your car have boogies? Making it very relatable so they understand the importance of oil changes, so they understand what's the purpose of that air filter. Every time I go in for an oil change, I would get you need a new air filter line. It's going to be an extra, $35. And I'm thinking, do I really need this? I have no idea. And I didn't. So I make sure I tell women exactly what your air filter does, how often it's supposed to be replaced, how to know when it is, how to do it themselves. Most cars, you can change it yourself. And it just started growing. Women love these workshops. They're very interactive. I created them to host them monthly. I'm just in a parking lot, right? I'm just putting out on Facebook, I want to do a workshop to teach women who wants to come. We're going to go to this parking lot, and I would just get scores of women try to organize and come, organize their mom groups. And, can you do one at the high school here? And I just started hosting these workshops, and women would learn on their own cars. I would say, I want you to learn how to pop your hood if you don't know how to pop your hood. You're going to learn how to check your oil. You're going to learn how to check your tires, for your specific car. So if you are in a situation where you need to talk to a mechanic about your car, you're going to know what to say. So the workshops and a lot of the blogs were designed to help women, learn how to talk to mechanics, learn what to do in emergencies, and just how to take care of their cars better. So they're not making mistakes, or they're not feeling ashamed of neglecting them or abusing their cars, which is how I used to feel. I used to wait. I used to go over my oil change miles all the time, and I didn't care. I was like, whatever, I'll get there another 1,000 miles. Oh, I'll take it in tomorrow. Oh, I'll take it in next week. I didn't take care of my car. And anytime it started needing too many repairs, I traded in for a new one. I was an engineer, so I was lucky to have money to do that, but it was very wasteful. And it was just because I wasn't educated. I wasted a lot of money on cars because I wasn't educated. So it's really important for me to be able to get this information out to women, because there's nothing out there. There's nothing in the industry that's really saying, women, guess what? You're our number one customer. I don't know if women know that, but we're the number one customer in the automotive industry by far. And we take our cars in for repairs more than men. There's more women drivers across all age groups. We buy more cars than men, and yet we're at such a disadvantage. And I believe it's because there's not women who work in the industry. You don't see female mechanics. You don't see women selling cars. You don't see females designing cars and engineering cars. And that's crazy when more than half your customers are women. And there's no representation of her in the industry. So Girls Auto Clinic kind of became this business that not only was going to educate women, but I was going to empower them. I was going to bring more women into the industry. I'm going to open a repair center. I'm going to hire female mechanics. We're going to have a nail salon there, like Peach and I talked about. I wrote a book, the Girls Auto Clinic Glove Box Guide. I wrote that. It was like a workshop on the go, so I could reach people outside of the Philadelphia area for workshops that wanted this information. And this all just started coming together. And after at 2014, I graduate from school. I'm doing my workshops already in school. I started doing workshops. I did it for a sorority too. I forget the name of it, but it was a sorority at University of Delaware. It was one of the black sororities too. I don't know any of them. I don't keep up with that.
What color do you know?
Blue. Maybe it had a Z, Zeta.
Zeta Phi Beta.
Thank you, ladies. My first one. And they loved it. It went so well. They loved it. And I said, I need to start doing these monthly. And I was still in school, hosting workshops, writing my book. And when I finished school, I was working in a shop for free. Here's a great story about also not quitting and having failures. I knew that when I was working for DuPont, I was at school at night to be a mechanic, but I knew I needed to work in a shop to get experience of how a shop is run, because I was going to open a shop that was going to cater to women and have a nail salon. So I started asking around and said, I will work for free. I will work for free. I will bring any of my skills for working for DuPont for 12 years to help you with your business and bring customers, whatever. I just want to learn. I was turned down by 3 people that said no. The first one made me cry, actually. Like, why would I hire you? You're just going to take my customers. And I thought, okay, he was really mean. It was a dealership. And then another guy's wife was like, no, you're not going to have her working there. So, and then someone else they didn't get back to me. It took me 4 or 5 months. I found someone that was like, okay, sure. And, every time I got rejected, it would kind of set me back. I'm like, I'm not going to find someone. I'd maybe give up for a couple of weeks, but then I'd continue on with school, and I'd think, I need to find a place. I got to learn. And so with each rejection, I would just move on and look for someplace else. And I finally found this one shop called Guys Auto Clinic. Edwin Regis is the owner. And I came to him and I said, I want to learn. I want to have a shop that caters to women. I didn't have the name yet. We didn't have the workshops. He helped me create the workshops. I wrote the book, which is like a workshop on the go. And we came up with the name Girls Auto Clinic because he had Guys Auto Clinic, and I crossed out the guys and I put girls on top. And I thought, what about Girls Auto Clinic? And that's where the story of it really started, is, doing these workshops, writing the book, and educating women. I left my job at DuPont right after I finished school because I started looking for another job working for free. Again, it's so important. If you're new to this stuff, go work with the best people and work for free. You're going to learn so much. And I wasn't working for free for a long time. A couple of months, you can learn a lot working for free with some of the best people. So I knew I needed to get experience in a bigger shop. The Guys Auto Clinic was a small shop in West Philly, one bay. I wanted to have a big shop, so I knew I needed more experience in shops that see more cars. So I went and worked at this other place for free in Roxborough, PA. And one day I came in to help him out, and he said, I want to hire you. He was so frustrated with his other employees that weren't showing up for work, and he needed some help. And he said, I can't pay you much, $600 a week. And at this point, I'm like 12 years into a career at DuPont, making like a 6-figure salary. And I'm like, $600 a week. Okay, let me get back to you and see if I can do that. And so I thought about it, and I looked at my finances, and I talked to Edwin from Guys Auto Clinic. And I'm like, well, I guess it's no time than now. Might as well do it. And the next day, I made an appointment with my supervisor at DuPont. And a couple days later, when we had our meeting, I told him I was leaving. And I left in 2014, and that was scary. I used to wake up in the middle of the night like, oh, I can't believe, what am I doing? Did I just leave my job? I can't believe I just left my job. I used to, like, 2 in the morning. I'm like, what am I doing? Patrice, what are you doing? This is crazy, right? I had nights like that so many times in the beginning, but it's been working. As soon as I started working full time at Keller's, I really, at the bigger shop, I really started developing the brand and pushing it on social media, because I was learning more by being around cars all day, every day. I was writing more blogs. I was writing the book and doing all of these, finding all these resources to help women and building the company. It really helped me do that. And so it was good. It was time for me to leave because I had to start building this business if I knew I wanted it to go places. And I just had just a feeling that this is something that can be big, that can help women across the country, that can empower women across the country. You see a lot of female empowerment movements now throughout, especially STEM careers, but just women in general, young girls, it's everywhere. And I did not see it in the automotive industry. I didn't see any type of energy or movements around getting more girls into this industry. And so I wanted to use Girls Auto Clinic to do as a platform to do that. Part of, I believe, the root cause that we feel so taken advantage of or mistreated or misinformed, and we don't feel good about our decisions with our cars, whether they're buying or repairing, is because, there's so few women who look like us. So I wanted to create a safe space where they can work on cars and not be discriminated against. Most women who go into automotive technology begin to work, and they're just not treated fairly. They don't get great jobs. They don't get good career paths because they think they're not women. They're not strong enough. They don't get it. As soon as they have a baby, they're going to not want to work on cars, So most women drop out. And they don't work on cars, and they've always known, they went to school, they want to, but they just don't have support. There's not other women mentors for them. So with the shops, we're going to be hiring female mechanics. I started saying, I want to hire female mechanics. I want to give them a safe space to learn how to work on cars. So not only are we going to give a safe space for our female drivers to come and bring their cars to get worked on, to know they're not being taken advantage of, we're also creating a space for women to come and be able to work on cars and get more, be in better positions of leadership or power, and using Girls Auto Clinic to do that. So, the whole goal from the beginning was to open a repair shop that catered to women. And I've been working 5 years to do that, and it's here. I made the announcement 2 weeks ago. We'll be opening in October, and it's been a huge hit. In the meantime, since I left my job, I've had an incredible press. Good Housekeeping, Oprah, Elite Daily, The Washington Post. I was on Tyra Banks' show and CBS News, so many people are like, this is incredible. Women need to hear this. Women want to hear it. The story is incredible about quitting my job and, you know, working as a mechanic, creating something because I couldn't find it out there. And it is kind of surreal when I think about my whole story with Girls Auto Clinic and just following a vision. It wasn't even my dream. Like, I didn't dream of doing this. It was just, I saw an incredible opportunity to make a difference. And I thought, hey, if no one's doing it, why not me, right? That's how I thought. Okay, I'm gonna go back to school and I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna try it, right? I was just a person that thought I could do that. Why couldn't I do it? Yeah, I'm gonna go back to school and I'm gonna create this company that's gonna change the world. Like, I just think that way. I'm just a dreamer, and I just have the passion to say, I'm going to do something incredible. And, you know, I didn't think it would be cars. I didn't think it would be, you know, the automotive industry or being a mechanic. But it was me just trying out different things that led me here to find it. I was open to trying out, working at Mary Kay. I was bartending because I enjoyed that, you know, doing all types of stuff outside of DuPont that was entrepreneurial to figure out what was going to fit. And it led to this. You know, it took a couple of times. So again, the just not quitting, the trying as much as you can that you think is going to make you happy, and you'll find something that really sticks and that's for you. And Girls Auto Clinic has been a hit since then. And part of my belief is because this is for me, you know, this is meant for me. This is my destiny. This is my purpose, is to be out here doing this and helping women. And the right people are coming to me to help me make this happen, you know, and trusting that the right people will be there when you're walking in your path and your destiny and doing something that's making your contribution, that's helping people. The right people are going to come into your life to help you, because you're not going to know everything. I definitely don't know. I tell people all the time, I don't know what I'm doing. And I don't. I'm new. I'm getting ready to open a 4-bay repair center that's a nail salon right next to it. I have no idea what I'm doing. I've never done that before, you know. And I already have the girl mechanics I'm hiring, and we're kind of all in it together. And, you know, we have this camaraderie. Like, we really need to do well, and we need to kind of prove ourselves. This first shop has to be successful, because the goal is to be almost like a Pep Boys, to have shops across the country and be able to provide these services into every, you know, several cities. This would be big in Houston or Atlanta or LA, some of these driving cities. I think women would love it. You know, so this is the first one, and I'm really excited and kind of nervous at the same time. Shark Tank wants me to come on. They called me. They want me to come on the show, but I had to turn them down because, again, it's the first one. I'm like, let me get open for a year. Let's put some numbers up, see what we can do, see where it goes, you know. And I think it's going to be pretty popular. My Facebook page has been blown up. I've got 8,000 likes in a week, just from announcing that I was opening this, you know, shop. So people are really excited, and I'm excited. I can't wait to be open and finally see the vision come to life. You know, it's happening. It's happening.
Where do you see Girls Auto Clinic in 5 years?
Yeah.
Where do you see it in 5
I
years?
see us expanding and being in several cities with our repair centers, with the nail salon. So Girls Auto Clinic can, you know, come into Atlanta or New York or Houston. I'd love to be out in California just because the weather's beautiful out there. So I definitely see that when we start expanding. I want to have workshops, you know, across the country. I want to hire other women in other cities who are mechanics to host Girls Auto Clinic workshops, you know, in their cities. So I'm working on doing that. We really are trying to expand the Chicanic brand. So I didn't really mention my Chicanic, but when I started doing this, I had a lot of followers, women followers and fans saying, this is awesome. This is so cool. I can't wait to learn. And one day I was just thinking of like, Lady Gaga, and then she calls her fans the little monsters. And Rihanna has like the Navy, and Beyonce, you know, has Hive. Yeah. And I'm thinking, I need a group. I need a name for my fans or followers and girls who are becoming empowered by learning about their cars. And so I've, after some testing out words and asking people for some advice on it. We settled on chicanic, and I have a whole definition of what a chicanic is. It's not just a woman who knows how to work on her car, but she's just empowered. She goes from yes, I can to yes, I did. She's empowered to learn about her car, to not be afraid, to learn and to change the relationship with her car and to empower other women. So really anybody can be a chicanic, who is, is tired of being an auto airhead and wants to learn more about their car and takes the steps to do it. Oh, because ultimately it is our responsibility. I was talking to a woman in the industry, and I was telling her about how the industry is not transparent enough, and women don't feel misunderstood, and they don't feel like we're listened to, and we're taken advantage of. And she's like, well, ultimately, like, it's the women's job to educate themselves. It's not really the industry's job to educate them. And that's true to a sense. Like, we need to step up and say, all right, where can I educate myself? But there wasn't information out there that was easy to get or readily available or relatable. It was, very technical, over our head. We felt lost, like it was rocket science. Trust me, ladies, these cars are not rocket science. Some of these kids I was in school with, I'm like, I would not take my car to you, because it's not, it's more just about breaking things down to the core principles. And I just try to explain that with women. Here's the most important things you need to know about your car. So it's going to run well. You're going to have less repairs. You're going to be able to keep it for longer. It's going to save you money. And you won't feel ashamed or scared to talk to a mechanic. And that's my whole goal with Girls Auto Clinic. And that's what
Awesome.
So that's what I do with my chicanics and my chicanic brand. So in the 5 years, I'd love this brand to expand to a product and accessories and a whole kind of life of its own around women empowerment in the automotive industry, which we can put in any sector, selling cars, repairing cars, racing, products. Like, it's untouched market for women, really. And the automotive industry struggles to get women in. So I think there's a lot of opportunities to brand the chicanics and Girls Auto Clinic to help get more women involved. So you may see me in NASCAR. I don't know. Maybe Pep Boys, their CEO, saw my TED Talk, and Pep Boys wants to work with me, and I'd love for them to add a Pep Girl. I thought that'd be great. Add a Pep Girl to their roster. It would be pretty cool. So we'll see. They're from Philly too. They started here. So yeah, if it was my plan, it would be shops across the country, workshops. My book's being published by Simon & Schuster. So I wrote the book, and someone saw me on CBS, and they called me and said they want to publish the book. And so I'm working on that right now. I'm almost finished. I'm so excited. It's so good. It's so good. The new book, I put so much more information in this, and it's everything that a woman needs to know about her car. It's very relatable. It helps her change the relationship with her car and how she looks at it, so she doesn't fear it anymore or is ashamed. And that'll be out in the spring of 2017.
Now, you just brushed over that. How did you get a TED Talk?
My TED Talk. I how did I get the TED Talk? Somebody just recommended I did it. Oh, they're looking for applications at this Wilmington University for TED speakers. You have to give a TED Talk with what you're doing. And I thought, what am I going to talk about? Like, I'm thinking TED is ideas. These, psychologists come on and scientists. I'm like, what am I going to say? I'm going to open a shop. Like, she's like, no, you got it. You got to talk about what you're doing. And so I didn't think I was going to get it. I submitted the video at like I had like 1 minute left. It was like 11:59 before midnight on the day. I was like, I'm not going to get it. And they called me. They're like, well, you're giving a TED Talk. And I'm like, oh shit. I guess I got to give it a TED Talk now. Like, I didn't think I was going to get in. And I'm like, what am I going to write about? What am I going to write about? What am I going to talk about? But I just thought, talk about what's in my heart, talk about my story, talk about my struggle, and exactly what my plan is to help women. And that's exactly what I wrote about. And the TED Talk went really well. I was so proud of myself, because it's the first time I had to speak and memorize. It was 12 or 13 minutes long. And I didn't have slides or anything. It was just off of memory. So it was pretty cool to do that. And once the TED Talk came out, things just really started going crazy. The Washington Post picked up the story, and it just started getting a lot of press ever since, and a lot of attention because it's so unique and so cool, right? So, which I'm excited about. I can't wait to just start opening the doors and getting women in and making them feel good. Giving them, women are so excited. They're like, we can't wait for this to open. Oh my God, hurry
Right.
up. I'm like, I'm
So
coming.
I
I'm
just have to
coming.
know, what does your mom say now?
My mom,
Yeah.
she's really proud of me. Like, it's funny because my grandfather, her father was a mechanic. His dad, her grandfather, had his own shop. And I didn't know that. And it's kind of crazy that my grandfather used to work on cars and my great grandfather used to work on cars. So I don't know, maybe this is that was really always my destiny. And I just didn't realize it till I was 30. But so she's really proud. I mean, she never thought in a million years like I would that I would have these types of opportunities or be doing this stuff. Like I'm in Oprah's magazine, like I won $20,000 from Damon John of Shark Tank. Like it's surreal. She's just really happy and proud, and she's bragged to me and all her friends. My daughter's doing this. She's so cute because she's trying to help me. Like she's trying to be really helpful, and she's like, I met this guy, I was telling him all about you, and he sells automotive equipment, used automotive equipment. Yeah, I'm gonna give you his number. And she's just so excited to like be a part of it and help out. So it makes me feel good because I can get my family involved. My niece is working for me at the shop when it opens. She's gonna be I call her my spirit director, but she's like the receptionist. My other niece is answering my emails and doing my social media and creating flyers for me. So I'm going to be having my whole family working. I mean, what else are they for? Right? Help me. We're going to get rich together, guys.
Right. What do you say to the haters that called you crazy?
It's crazy. I don't get a lot of haters, and the only haters that I get are mainly women. And it's because they think I'm being a little bit too condescending by saying like auto airhead, but I said I was an auto airhead, right? And I was. That's something I labeled myself. They think I'm a little bit too provocative or sexy with the red heels, and that I'm trying to promote to be sexy with like black tight pants and red heels. And I'm kind of like, oh, that's just what I wear. Like I wasn't trying to be like super sexy. I like to wear heels. But so many women are responding to that because they don't see a woman who looks like me that says, I work on cars. And people never would guess that based off of my appearance. So I'm actually glad that it looks this way and that women are responding to it because they think I can be a mechanic. I can wear heels and I can have makeup and get my hair done and wear a dress, but still work on cars. So I think, the haters mainly, if when they're the guys, they're like, you're not really a mechanic. Show me your ASEs. Let me see your hands. They just don't believe it. And for the women, it's kind of, it's where you get that you're being too sexy, you're being provocative, you're being too condescending with women, and we don't know what we're doing. Or I'm like, okay, you're always going to have haters. I just got one today. A woman sent me an email. She said, I'm all for women empowerment, but there's heels and black pants, and it's just demoralizing to women and being on their backs with their red heels on because of my logo. And I'm like, she's on her back because she's working on the car. Like that's the same position a man would be in if he was working on the car too. So
Exactly.
I don't know, but I'm not even going to respond to that. I got caught up in that in the beginning. Don't get caught up in the haters because I just was so passionate about getting people to understand. And I would get emails from people and comments, and I'm like, nope, I don't even respond to them anymore. You're going to have haters. You always will. There'll always be there. People who just have a different opinion, naysayers. I mean, they're just out there. So you can't let that stop you. And it's just kind of like that Beyonce line. There's plenty of people who don't like me, but there's 10 times more who love me. And that's how it is. When you're following your heart, when you're doing it from your heart, and when it's coming from a good place, like the haters don't matter. I'm opening a shop now. Like, what are you saying? Who cares? I'm in Oprah's magazine. Like, I don't care. Like what your opinion is about it. There's a lot of people who like this and want this and need this. It's not for everyone, Oh well. So haters, I hated that word haters before. I used to be like, oh, I hate that word haters. But I get it. It's mainly people who are just, they're just angry at themselves. It's more about them than you. So they help me get stronger, actually, and make me feel like I'm going to prove. I love when people tell me I can't do something, because I'm just like, I'm going to prove you wrong, right? Don't tell me I can't. So you feed off of them. Yeah.
Right.
They give me
How can we
energy.
support you? Please let us know. Tell us your
Yes, you
social
can
media and all
support
that great
me.
stuff.
Yes, Girls Auto Clinic all across the board. Website is girlsautoclinic.com, at Girls Auto Clinic on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Sometimes I'm on LinkedIn, but not really. Go to my website where you can sign up for a workshop if you're in the Philadelphia area. If you're not in the Philadelphia area, you can buy the book, the pre-published one. This is the one that I self-published, on the website, and that'll be like a workshop on the go. Join our She-Canic page. So one of the things that I wanted to provide to women, I said, is resources. I know for me, anytime my car would break down or I'd have an issue with a light, dash light coming on, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who to call or who to ask. I would ask friends, like, what do you think's going on? Do you know anyone who's a mechanic I could talk to? So I wanted to provide like an online community for women that they could go and ask questions and about their cars and get answers from female mechanics. So we have created that on Facebook. It's called the #SheCanic Facebook community. And it's only for women drivers, and women mechanics. It's a safe space. Again, don't be ashamed to ask any questions you may have, no matter how dumb you may think they are, about your car, about buying a car, about a repair. And we get questions from women saying, my car's making this noise, what could it be? Or they take a picture, what does this look like? And this looks unusual. Or mechanic's telling me I have to pay $500 for brakes. Does that sound right? And it's just been so tremendously helpful. And also you can learn. So even if it's not a problem you have, you read the answers that the female mechanics post, and it can help you learn about a situation. So please join, for women only, and post away. Ask your questions in there. We're here to help. So
What
that's
do
how
you
you can
think has
support
been,
me.
yeah, so we will definitely do that. What do you think
Thank
the
you.
toughest part about this journey to grow Girls Auto Clinic has been?
So my biggest fear about being an entrepreneur was working hard. When I first started this, you just saw a lot of, especially when social media started blowing up, Instagram and stuff, all people talked about was late nights, early mornings, the hustle, hustle, hustle. You never get any sleep. And I used to be like, I love to sleep. It's one of my favorite things to do. I don't want to not sleep. Like, what? I can't do that. That's what I thought. And I realized, no, that's not what it is, because remember I talked about snoozing the alarm, looking forward to Friday. Like, Girls Auto Clinic wakes me up. I don't have to set an alarm anymore. I'm up sometimes at 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning, just motivated to work. And I can't wait to open my laptop and start answering emails or doing what I need to do. So the hardest part has not been the working, because you are going to have the energy and the passion when it's yours, and it's something that you're creating. The hardest part is being an entrepreneur forces you to be the best version of yourself at all times. You can't take days off. You can't, slack. You have to put yourself out there. You have to really suck at your weaknesses and get better at them. You have to constantly be personally developing yourself. And that's hard. You have to change. You have to, as your business gets better, you have to change with it. You have to grow with it. And people don't like change, and change is slow, and it's hard, and it's painful, and it's stressful, and you feel like a failure. And because change is hard and slow, it doesn't come overnight, but you know that you need to, in order to be what the company needs. So in order for me to be the leader I need to be for this company, I have to be the best version of Patrice. So I listen to a lot of Oprah and a lot of the spiritual healings and personal development programs and talks and things that she offers. And I read a lot of books to help me with how do I calm my mind, meditation, how do I live, not stress out. It's very stressful, just because you don't know what the next day is going to bring. You have no idea what tomorrow is going to bring. It could bring $10,000, or it could bring a loss of $10,000. And just having that imbalance and not being sure is very nerve-wracking. But you get comfortable being that way. You get good at it, and you get to learn how to handle that stuff. But you have to, like I said, be the best version of yourself, and that's hard. Some days I don't want to. I'm like, I don't want to open my computer. I don't want to read. I just want to watch Netflix all day, you know. And there are moments when I have to take a break. I have to tell myself, turn off the computer, you know, and get some sanity, go for a walk, you know, be connected with other things besides work is so important to your sanity, or it will kill you. So yeah, changing yourself is really hard. You have to be committed to it. You have to be committed to getting better. Absolutely. So
Well,
good
I
luck.
think that
Good
is
luck.
a perfect place to end it. That is a perfect thing to tell entrepreneurs, because God knows a lot of people think they can do it, and then they get there and they're like, oh my God, what did I sign up for? So,
You know, I saw this post that said being an entrepreneur is kind of like riding a lion, and people are looking at you saying, wow, look how brave this person is riding this lion. And the entrepreneur riding it is thinking, how did I get up here? And how do I get down without getting eaten? And that's really how you feel, right? I'm like, what am I doing up here? What's going on? I just don't want to get eaten. I want to make everything okay. And it's, you know,
right.
yep, it is. It's crazy.
Yeah. So everyone, please make sure you follow Girls Auto Clinic on all social media. And ladies, please join the She Mechanic Facebook community.
Yes.
I'm a member. And of course,
Thank you.
I always tell a story of how I know my guests. Patrice worked at DuPont with my sister. So my sister had told me her story when she had quit. And I was like, what? And then she just started popping up everywhere. And so I was like, and then I was able to meet Patrice last year in Chicago. She was a finalist for a business plan competition, and I was able to meet her, and that was pretty cool.
Drove me around the city.
Yes, I did. Yeah, we hung out at dinner, and so it was cool. So, but thank you so much for being on the show, because I know you were so busy. And congratulations again. I'm so excited. I am literally going to have to go to Philly just so I can go and see this clinic, because I'm so excited, because I think it's the coolest thing ever, because I was one of those people that I just did not like taking my car in, which is why I told you I would call my dad and make them talk to my dad.
Yeah, yeah. Or your husband.
Then once we got comfy, we didn't have to call dad anymore. But at first, I was like, the first 10 times, and then they would ask me, I go, no, we're okay. And then I would tell my dad when I left, they charged me this much. This is what was wrong with the car. And he's like, oh, that's fine. And I was like, yeah. I trust them. They're great. I still go to the same people to this day. If I have to start with new people, I guess we'll have to start all over again.
Yeah. But it's very good that you do that. I talk to women about that. Yeah. Don't do this, you know, shop hopping, I call it. You're not being loyal. Like, you got to find one mechanic. You go to them for everything, even oil changes. Like, you have to. It's very important for your car. And just knowing that you can trust them. I mean, to know that there's someone that's going to get out your car and take care of you, that you don't have to worry, is priceless. You know? Yeah.
And I mean, think about it, you guys. Next to your house, your car is probably your biggest investment. So it is worth it to get the knowledge and learn about your car. So thank you so much. Have an awesome evening. Everyone, I will see you guys next week. I will let you know who the guests will be sometime later this week. But thank you so much. And don't forget to follow me on everything at Ask Dr. Renee. We'll have a small after party probably on Facebook Live and Periscope simultaneously. So I look forward to seeing you there. Good night.